Hakadosh Boker Or Chodesh Tov Masechet Nazir Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph. We're going to be starting 31a1, but we're just going to start on the Mishnah, the new perek on 30b, the last line of Lamed Amud Bet, the first Mishnah in Perek Hamishi. Bet Shammai Omrim, Bet Shammai come and they say Hekdesh Betaut Hekdesh. So here we're going to be speaking about in this chapter about somebody that accepts upon himself by mistake a Nazirut. And since the Nazirut is like a Hekdesh, it's still going to be considered that they accepted upon themselves the Nazirut. So he comes and he says, Hekdesh, Ta'ut, Hekdesh. That means even though you came and you consecrated something, right? You did it by accident, but it's going to be considered Hekdesh. That's the concept. Bet Hillel Omrim, but Bet Hillel says, and Hekdesh. It's not going to be Hekdesh. So it's going to be the Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. Keitzar, what is the case exactly? Amar Shor Shahor Sheyetze mi Beti Rishon Hareu Hekdesh. Imagine a person comes and he says, the first black ox that comes out of my house is going to become Hekdesh. Now what happened? It's a Lavan, comes out a white one. Right? Bet Shammai, only Bet Shammai says it's Hekdesh.
Yes.
Yeah? It's going to come and he's going to say it's going to be Hekdesh. The mashmot of pshuta is that he's basically being magdish, the first one that comes out,
He doesn't,
and not which one that comes out. So the Gemara is going to explain what does that mean exactly. Okay, so we're going to speak about that. Okay, that is the shita of Bet Shammai. Bet Hillel says eno Hekdesh. Okay, dinar zahav she'ya'aleh biyadi rishon hareu Hekdesh. Imagine a person comes and he says, you know what? The first golden coin that comes to my hand is going to become Hekdesh. Vela kesef. It didn't come out a gold coin, it came out a silver coin. So again, Bet Shammai says Hekdesh. Bet Hillel omrim eno Hekdesh. It's not going to be Hekdesh. Third case, Havit shel yain sheta'aleh biyadi rishona. The Havit of yain, a wine barrel that's going to come to my hands. It's going to become the Hekdesh. Velta shel shemen. It wasn't wine that came to his hand. It was oil. Bet Shammai says that it's going to be Hekdesh, and Bet Hillel says that it's not going to be Hekdesh. Now, obviously, the Gemara is going to ask, what's the reason why we need three different cases to teach you the exact same halacha? Okay, so obviously we're going to speak about that. Let's see in the Gemara. Okay,
this is true. Is that no?
There's the Gemara. The Gemara on Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph says, Bet Shammai Omrim Hekdesh Ta'ut is considered Hekdesh. So my time out Bet Shammai. What's the reasoning of Bet Shammai? The Alfin was they're going to learn Tchilat Hekdesh Misov Hekdesh. They're going to learn the beginning of the Hekdesh, right? From the end of the Hekdesh. What does that mean? Ma temura afilu beta'ut, af Hekdesh afilu beta'ut. What does that mean? You have to remember that there's something which is called a temura. What is a temura? Substitution. So, if right now, by a substitution, even though you made a mistake, right, it's still considered a substitution. It's still going to be chal. So, for example, you wanted to come and you wanted to be substituting a certain animal, a black animal. Instead of putting a black animal, it was a white animal. So according to the Torah, the Tmurah is going to be chal. It's going to be okay. And the substitute will take place. So to the Hekdesh, which is the beginning, because the Tmurah is at the end. The Tmurah is a substitute, which is done at the end. So to the Hekdesh, which is going to be done at the beginning, is going to be afilu beta'ut. Bet Hillel omrim. Bet Hillel come and they say, Hanemile, when do we say this? Only by a Tmurah. Which means like this. They come and they say, since anyway this animal is already kadosh, so if it's already kadosh, now I'm going to come and I'm only being ma'avid the kedusha, I'm transferring the kedusha from one to another. In this scenario, you're going to say that it's going to be chal. However, though, in a normal scenario, what does that mean? To make something Hekdesh, I don't do that. You understand? Meaning, according to Bet Hillel, if something's already Hekdesh, and I'm just transferring this holiness from one thing to another, that does work. Okay? And I'm going to be machmir. But to make something holy, that I don't say. That's Shitat Bet Hillel. Bet Shammai. Bet Shammai, and according to Bet Shammai, Ma'ilu amar reze tachat ze lechatzi hayom. Imagine a person comes and he says in the morning, this be'ema of chulin is going to be instead of the korban from half a day and onwards. So basically, again, one more time, he's doing a tmura. Tmura is a substitute. He's taking a mundane animal, saying that this mundane animal is going to become holy as a tmura instead of the Hekdesh animal. And he's saying it from Chetzi Hayom. Mihavya tmura me'ishata. You're going to tell me that this is a tmura from that time and onwards? Yeah, for sure not. And only once it gets to the Chetzi Hayom, then it becomes a tmura. Hachanami, so to hear, lechi megalia minta. Only when it's going to be mitgaleh the davar, only then are you going to say that it's going to become holy, which means that according to Bet Shammai, if he would have said, you know what, I'm going to make a tmura. Well, when does the tmura start? Midday. Before midday, is there any tmura? There's nothing. Because he only said,
the other animal.
Exactly, he had to bring the other animal. So only at midday does the tmura take into effect. So if you're going to tell me that the tmura only goes into effect midday, the same thing here. By our case, what did he say? He said the black animal that's going to come out. What came out? The white. Or vice versa. Or again, the gold, silver, whatever the case is, wine, oil. Why don't we just say the exact same thing? It's only going to become revealed when it comes out. And therefore, just like before, right, the half a day, there was no kiddusha on this tmura, even though I said that this is going to become a tmura. But until half day, it's swallowed. There's nothing here. So the same thing. This black shore, right, or the shore that comes out is nothing until it comes out, the one that I wanted. So it should be migaleh.
What do you mean?
Meaning
After,
we're asking.
This one, he wait for the other.
Yeah,
stuff?
you should wait for the other one, and then it becomes revealed what he wanted to do.
Okay, he said.
He says, "I want a black one."
It comes to
It comes to white, so it's not going to be holy.
So
Bet Shammai said yes. Why yes?
But from now he's waiting for the black who's coming after.
From the beginning, he was already waiting for the black that's coming after.
Yes, but the white came.
Yes, so it's
not-
nothing.
it's
So
not-
it's
The
nothing.
white is not.
So the white is nothing. It's basically he's comparing the half day concept, midday concept, to black and white.
Okay.
That just like by the half day or midday, there's nothing until midday. So too, when I say black ox, there's nothing until black ox doesn't come out.
Midday,
so,
you know.
so it's gonna be the color, the color he said.
Yeah,
Okay.
it has to be the color that he says.
Midday is gonna come. The
Okay.
black ox,
1 second. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Papa says, Lekach Ne'emar, that's why he said the words, right? Rishon. What does it mean, Rishon?
first.
L'chshiyetze Rishon, which means when the Yetze Ashachor Rishon, right, he's going to become, right, the Kodesh. So right, he's going to become holy. However, though, if you're going to tell me now that Iev Shalimomi Tmuna Shechul, right, on Ekdesh, on another one that was no Mekdish, which means you cannot come and learn from there on the Shor Lavan, just like we thought at the beginning. We're going to say when it says Rishon, it's a Shor Shachor Rishon. It's the first black one that comes out, that's going to come out of his house. And even if it's going to come out a white one before it, it doesn't matter. So he comes and he says, 1 second, Ve'ah Shor Shachor Kamar. He says, I don't understand you. In the Neder, he said Shor Shachor, right? It's not written, right, that he had more than one black one. So Milo Askina de Lolo Alahai, are we not talking about that he only has one animal? Meaning he's only got one black one. It could be maybe he has 20 whites, right? But he's only got one black. So therefore, when he comes and he says that we're talking about this one black animal, right? It's only talking about that there's one. So it says, no. No, really, the Mishnah is talking about that he has 2 or 3 different black oxen, okay? And therefore, you could say the kavanah of the noder is the first one, the first one.
Of the 3.
So Bet Hillel says, in Ken, if so, she'etzeh barishon mi ba'aleh, right? She'etzeh barishon. Why does he have to say mi beti, from my house, right? And then you could say it's the first one that's coming out of the house. Just say she'etzeh barishon. Okay, so because of that, that's why Bet Hillel argues on Bet Shammai, and they don't like this explanation. They say no. They could have just said, why does he say from my house? Is that I don't buy this. Right? It doesn't work. Okay, so now we're going to ask on Rav Papa. So now it says the Gemara like this: Amale Rava mi barnish le Ravashi. Says Rava mi barnish to Ravashi. Hi hekdesh betautu. He says, 1 second. Are you going to tell me that this is considered hekdesh betaut? Hekdesh bechavanahu. According to Bet Shammai, we are saying that the kavanah, that means intentions of the one that's making the neder, was to do the first one that came out of the house, even if the white one came out first. So therefore, why are you calling this taut? It's not a taut. This was done with kavanah. If you come and you tell me now that the kavanah of Bet Shammai is that, right, the animal that comes out first, which is the black one, is going to become Hekdesh. And now the white one came out first, but still his kavanah was the first black one. So why do you say that that's a mistake? There's no mistake here. There was no mistakes.
We didn't have a black.
So no, for sure. So he answers, Mishum da'ati elidibure kama. He says, no, because he made a mistake in the first words, which means he was satam. He said stam, and he didn't explain his words, right? Because I could have made a mistake. That was the first one that came out of the house, and the first one, which was a white one. So, but we're saying, no. The kavanah was the first one, which is a black one that's coming after the white one. That's our kavanah. Because of that, that's a mistake. Meaning the mistake is in the word, the way the words were doing. Not he didn't make a mistake. He still holds that it's the first one, which is the black one, which is coming out of his house. So there's no mistake mitzido. The mistake is the first black one. The mistake is in the wordings. The way that he worded it, that's the mistake. Some people, they come, they say things, right? And they don't realize, right, what they're saying. And then they say, that's what I was mitkaven. Okay, so you made a mistake. Right, very good. You know, the shara kavanot, but shara kavanot is all the mind. It's not in the actual, right? It's not in the actual.
Words have different meaning.
100%. He comes and he says like this: "The savri bet shamai hekdesh betaut ulohavi hekdesh." Are you going to tell me now that hekdesh betaut is not considered a hekdesh? But now we learned in the Mishnah in Lamed Aleph Amud Bet, Misha Nadar ben Nazir, Menishala Chachamim veitiru. Imagine somebody comes and they made a neder to become a Nazir. Then they came, they asked the rabbis, and they permitted the Nazirut. Vaitalo behema mufreshet, and he already had an animal that was segregated for his Nazirut. Tetzeh v'tireh ba'eder, so it's going to go and it's going to graze until it gets a mum. Amru Bet Hillel comes to Bet Shammai. V'yatem modim shekdesh b'tautu, where you guys don't say that it's going to be hekdesh b'taut. V'tetzeh v'tireh ba'eder. Now when you come and you're going to tell me now that it has to go out, it's mashma there was chal the kedusha. Miklal, the somebody Bet Shammai hekdesh b'taut v'hekdesh. So it's mashma that Bet Shammai actually do hold that hekdesh b'taut is considered hekdesh. So it's not just stam. Really, be'emet, that's what Bet Shammai hold. Hekdesh b'taut is hekdesh. Here, it was a taut. Why was it a taut? If he came and he did a tanat nedarim, so he wasn't a nazir anymore. He separated the animal, chazak baruch, but he's not a nazir. It was a mistake, right?
Why
So
the Tarat Nedarim doesn't go to the korban, to the future korban? The animal had.
No, that tanat nedarim just stops, and now he was never a nazir.
Okay.
But if he's not a nazir, but he separated a korban,
Yes.
and now if he comes and he separates the korban, and this is going to be a problem because now you have to wait until it grazes, because this is supposed to be for a korban. So what he's asking is, why do you say that it has to graze? It should really go scot-free. Why should it go scot-free? He was made as desh b'ta'ut. It was made as a mistake. I mean, you didn't make a mistake in the separating of the korban. But the mistake was that now that you were not a nazir anymore because you did a tara nedarim, now it's a mistake that the animal does not need to be brought at all. So therefore, it was a mistake that you even said that you're going to bring this animal.
It should be a package. A Tarat Nedarim for Nazir and for the korban that I've designed before.
No. Why is it a package? I come and I say, I don't want to become a Nazir. Chazak u'baruch. But 1 second. Now, do you know that I actually brought a korban on that? So that korban is something different than what it was in the Nazir. But the question though is that korban should be a mistake. Because if I'm not a Nazir, the korban was a mistake. So here, this is what he's saying over here. If it's a mistake, so why do you say that you still have to let it graze? So the Gemara says, Ela bet Hillel u'dekatau, right? But rather, right, they made a mistake in the kavanah of Bet Shammai. Meaning Bet Hillel made a mistake. What was the kavanah in Bet Shammai? Savri, they thought that Tamayot Bet Shammai is mishum dekdesh b'taut of yekdesh, because they thought that ekdesh b'taut is ekdesh. V'amru lo Bet Shammai come, they say it's not because of ekdesh b'taut. Ela mishum date l'dibure kama, but rather because it comes out. Really, be'emet ekdesh b'taut, right? That's what he says. You cannot prove that it's ekdesh b'taut is ekdesh according to Bet Shammai. But here it's because of his first words. And since the first words was, right, sounded like that, so then it's going to be a problem. Meaning that a person goes according to his first words. And therefore, the first words, it sounded exactly like that. It's not because of Hekdesh B'Taut. So says the Gemara, so now let's go the other way around then. You just told me that in Bet Shammai, Bet Hillel made a mistake in Shita Bet Shammai. They thought that the reasoning Bet Shammai was Hekdesh B'Taut was Hekdesh. And we said it's not true. You can't bring a proof from that. But rather, we're going according to your words. Says the Gemara, let's flip it. Are you going to tell me that according to Bet Shammai, Hekdesh b'taut is not considered Hekdesh? Right? Tashema, let's bring a proof. Imagine right now you had 6 people that are traveling on the path. 31b. Okay? Somebody comes from far away. Right? Now you don't know who he is. V'amar echad, and he comes, one of the 6 people says, Hareni Nazir sheze ploni. I'm going to become a Nazir if this is this so-and-so. You know how it is. Some people, they're far away. You can't really tell them. You can't really tell who they are. Some people, you could tell them by their walk, right? I remember there was always a certain person, according to the way that he walks, you know exactly who he is. You know how it is. Whether it's, sometimes it's the sound of the shoes. Sometimes it's the way that he walks. The body movement, the this, that. So you come and you say, you know what? I'm going to become a Nazir. This guy has to be this guy. He already knows who he is, yeah? So what happens? One of them says, Hareni Nazir shen ze ploni. I'm going to become a Nazir if this is not this person, right? Then what happens? The Shlishi comes and he says to the other ones, Hareni Nazir shecha mikem Nazir. I'm going to become a Nazir if one of you guys are going to become a Nazir. Now, so he's toasted. Yeah, he's toasted. Yeah, because no matter what, he's going to be, that's it, he's gone. If one of them said he's going to become a Nazir if this is the guy, that was I'm going to become a Nazir if it's not the guy, and then that said I'm going to become a Nazir if one of you guys are going to become a Nazir, that's it, he's gone. Yeah? Comes the 4th one, right? And he says, I'm going to become a Nazir if neither of you guys are going to be, then nobody's going to become a Nazir, right? Comes the 5th one, and he comes and he says, I'm going to become Nazir, that both of you are Nazirim. The 2 of you are going to become Nazirim. No, this is number 5.
No,
number 5.
He said that on number 3 and number 4.
Sheshnechem Nazirim. Number Shnechem Nazirim is going to be number 5.
No, it cannot be the first 2.
The first ones are Machishim, he says the first 2. Yeah, the first 2. No, he says that even though both of them are contradictory, he says nevertheless the 5th one is holding that both of them had the kavanah to accept Nazirut in any case, whether it was that guy or not. But each one just said the reasoning of the Nazirut. But really, be'emet, they both had that kavanah to become a Nazir, right? So comes the 6th one, and he says, "I'm going to become a Nazir in shekulchem Nazirim. I'm going to become a Nazir if all of you are going to become Nazirim." So it's a nice case, no? It's a beautiful case.
Yeah,
so listen to this. Bet Shammai omrim kulam Nazirim. Says Bet Shammai, they all become Nazirim. Why? Because each one of them wanted to become a Nazir without a Tanai, and they only came to explain, right? Why did they accept upon themselves the Nazirut? Because this is this one or that. But really, even though Miksatam, the Kibbulah, as one Nazirut b'taut, was a mistake, they all had kavanah to become Nazirut. That's the pshat of Bet Shammai. So according to Bet Shammai, all 6 are Nazirim.
But the Nazirut was based on
V'ahacha hekdesh b'tautu. He says, one second, according to Bet Shammai, this is hekdesh b'taut. There's a mistake for sure here. There's probably more than one person here. There's for sure a few people that they made a mistake. The Ketani kulam Nazirim, and still we learned that everybody becomes Nazir. So this is a proof that the opposite of Bet Shammai, meaning Bet Shammai, you just told me, because we just proved it 2 minutes ago, that Kilu Ekdesh B'Taut is Lav Ekdesh, and only because of your wording is the proof that no, Ekdesh B'Taut is Ekdesh. So answers the Gemara, Amri, they said, Sabri Bet Shammai Ekdesh B'Taut Av Ekdesh, the opposite. Really, Be'emet, they hold that it is Ekdesh. Ve'hacha lo, but here in our Mishnah, it's not going to be considered a mistake. Meaning it's not because of that. Okay, that means Rav Papa does say, no, you're right. Usually it's true that Ekdesh B'Taut is considered Ekdesh, but in our Mishnah, it's not going to be considered Ekdesh B'Taut. So the Gemara now says, Abayamar, don't even think that we're talking about now that you came and you did in the morning before any shores came out of your house. What are we dealing with? The Kaim B'Tiara. We're already in the middle of the afternoon, when the shores already came out of the house. And he said, the first black ox that came out of my house is going to become Ekdesh. So because of that, he comes and he says, since there was a reason, right, to know that there's a shor shachor coming up first. So for example, he's already makir, kol psiotav, he already knows, like we said beforehand, the footsteps or all these things. So Ve'amilen, he says, Lavan nafak, it was the white one that came up first. Amalon, so he told them, if I would have known that the white one would have come out first, I wouldn't have said black. So in such a case, Abaye says, according to Bet Shammai, Hekdesh B'Taut is Chal, right? And the Shor Lavan is going to be Kadosh. Because since we knew that the Kavanah was the first one that came out, he said black because he heard the footsteps and he said, okay, there was a black one. And then they told him, no, but you made a mistake. It was a white one. He said, if I would have known that, I wouldn't have said the white. Meaning I wouldn't have said black or white. I would have just said the first one that came out. So you made the mistake. So in such a case, that's the case of our Mishnah where Bet Shammai holds that it is going to become Hekdesh. So says the Gemara, can you actually tell me that we're talking about in the middle of the afternoon? Meaning, we thought at the beginning we're talking about in the morning. And now you're telling me, no, we're talking about that you're in the afternoon. Vaktani, it's written, Dinar Zahav, Shel Zahav Sheyaleh. What is Sheyaleh? Ya'aleh is, Ya'aleh v'yavo. What is Ya'aleh? In which tense?
In the future.
In the future. It's in the future. Meaning, just like the Ya'aleh is going in the future, so too when the first case, before the Ya'aleh Dinar Zahav, should be in the future, not in the past. What did you just do? We thought at the beginning of the Mishnah, when we read the Mishnah, that it's on the future. Whichever, the first black ox that comes out of my house, that's what? In the future. Now, he just came and he answered, no, we're talking about the past. We're talking about you in the middle of the afternoon. They already came out. So they already came out, and I'm saying the first black one that came out. They said, no, but it wasn't the black one, it was white one. No, sorry, I made a mistake. Fine. Okay. We're not talking about the past. He says, look at the next case of the Mishnah. It's a Shi'aleh. Ya'aleh is in the future. So says the Gemara, Tani Shala, you're right. You have to learn also the second part in the past tense. Dinar Zahav She'ala biyadi, that came up on my hand, which means in the past tense and not in the future tense. So says the Gemara, okay, what about the third case? Third case was Chavit Shel Yain She'ta'aleh. Same thing, future tense. And says the Gemara, Tani She'alta, that it came up, that it was already came up. So again, we're talking about past tense on all three. That's how we have to answer it, according to this shita, and not in the future tense. Amar Rav Chasta, says Rav Chasta. Rav Chasta is going to bring, right, a ma'amad, and according to this, he's going to ask on a Mishnah. Uchma bechivra lakia. Imagine right now you have a shor shachor, so black ox, which is found with white ones. Okay? Now he's going to come and he's going to cause all of them to be sold, right, cheap, because black oxen, right, are inferior to white one, meaning that they're going to sell less. So black is going to be sold less than white. Okay, so chivra beuchma lakia. If you're going to have a ketem lavan, a white spot, right, on a black ox, that's a siman, right, that it was like that it was touched or whatever it is. So therefore, even though shor lavan is mishubach me'ashachor, nevertheless, ketamin levanim on shor shachor is going to make it worse. Okay, so that means even though white is better than black, if you have a black and in the black you have white spots, right? What's it called? When the person is vitiligo. Thank you. Right now, vitiligo. Yeah, vitiligo are white spots. Right, the person has a discoloring of pigments it could be in their face, it could be anywhere in their body. A vitiligo. Okay, so he comes and he says that's also considered what? A defect. So it means even though 2 minutes ago I just told you white is better than black, but black is better than white spots on a black. Okay, that's what we're saying. So Tanan, we learned in the Mishnah, Shachor she'etzeh mibeti rishon, when you have a black ox that comes out from the house first, Hekdesh, right? It becomes Hekdesh. Kasal kadaita, we're going to come and say, Ki magdish b'ayin ra'a magdish. We're going to say, listen, when he's coming and he's making the Hekdesh, he's doing it with a bad eye. He's not some people, even when they give a donation, it's always on the lower hand. You know something? It's not with a good eye, so the bad eye. So that's what we would have thought. But how many Bet Shammai says Bet Shammai have Hekdesh? It's going to be considered Hekdesh. Ve'elamai, but what? Maybe you're going to tell me it's going to be b'ayim yafa. So he says, Dinar shel zahav she'aleh biyadi rishon l'ashel kesef. Bet Shammai omrim Hekdesh. He says, 1 second. If you're going to tell me that a person is going to be magdish b'ayim yafeh, why are you going to tell me that if he went and he wanted to give a dinar zahav and now it came out kesef, it's going to be good? It doesn't make sense. You understood? One more time. He comes and he says on a golden coin, comes up silver, it's Hekdesh. Why? If he's going to be makdish b'ayin yafa, it should only be gold. Gold is always worth more than silver. Right? You have gold, zahav, kesef, and nechoshet. Right? It's always going to be gold, then silver, then copper.
Because it's a yain yafa.
No, because it's obvious. Meaning that if I'm going to come and I'm going to say, whenever you donate, you're always donating with the best. So all of a sudden, instead of coming up with the gold, it came up as silver. I'm not going to say that's Hekdesh, because that's ayin ra'ah. That's not ayin yafa. You're going down. You're not going up.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that it's ayin ra'ah.
That means it's ayin ra'ah, meaning that I'm always going to be stingy in what's going on. If I'm doing a b'ayin yafa, so it's going to go upwards.
That the silver came out.
So says the Gemara, what are we talking about? Okay, fine. Ve'elamai. So what are you going to tell me? Bain Ramagdish. So what about the chavit shel yain? Chavit shel yain shetale biyado rishon ve'ala shel shemen. What happens if you had the barrel of wine and instead of the barrel of wine came out the barrel of oil? So Bet Shammai says it's hekdesh. V'Hashemen adif miyayin. Oil is better than wine. Yeah, that's what he says over here. So if you're going to tell me now, because oil is more expensive than wine, so if you're going to tell me now, Sheba'ain Ra'ah is Magdish, how are you going to tell me now that we're going to believe him, that now all of a sudden it came up the Shemen? It doesn't make sense. Shemen is more expensive than oil. So says the Gemara, Imishum Halakasha. Here's another question. Begalila, sorry, because the Shemen is more expensive than oil. Than wine. Shemen is more expensive than yain. One second, Shemen and then oil. Fine. Yeah, he says, Imishum Halakasha. It's not a question. Begalila Shanu. We're talking about in Galil. In the Galil, Chamna Dif Mishcha. Shemen is more yakar than, the yain is more yakar than the shemen. The wine is more yakar, is more expensive than the oil. Because there's so much olive trees that the oil is cheap and the wine is more expensive. Meaning it all depends. Like, for example, somebody once explained to me, right? Did you ever realize, right, that in France and Spain, there's so much abundance of wine, they put wine in everything. You would think about it, why would you put wine? That we had a problem, as I still remember until today, with olives. Can you go to a Publix and just buy olives, like, pickled olives? Can you buy it or not? No. So the answer was no. But why not? At the end of the day, what are they putting on? They're saying they're putting like brine, what it is. And the reason was they put wine vinegar. Now you're going to tell me wine vinegar. Wine vinegar is much more expensive than regular distilled vinegar. No. Just put regular distilled. No. They have
Not in unit.
in all these places in Spain, France, there's so much abundance of wine that they have much more the wine vinegar, and therefore they use that for the olives and all these things. Now, if they're using wine vinegar for olives, we're not allowed to come and we're not allowed to eat them. So you cannot come and start eating, right? What?
Why do they put vinegar with olives?
They put vinegar in order that it's like the pickle it. It's like a brine. So in the brine, many times they'll come and they'll put wine, and therefore since they're putting wine in the brine, right, it's going to be a problem, right? Sometimes it's better to buy even from the Arabs. Why? Because Arabs are not allowed to put wine. For them, it's a sur over wine. So therefore, technically speaking, it's better to buy, right? It's better to buy from the Arabs, because you already know that, again, obviously we're talking about religious Arabs as a whole, but I'm saying, but in the concept, okay? Fine. Now he comes and he says, so Reisha, Kasha l'Rav Chasta. So he comes and he says, the Reisha, where it says Shor Shachor came out, it's going to be a question on Rav Chasta. Why? Because we see from the second case of the Mishnah, the Bayin Ra'ah is Magdish. So Amaleh Rav Chasta is going to answer you, Ki Amri Betorah de Karmana. He comes and he says, when did I say Shor Lavan is better? Only the Shor that comes from Karmuna, which there, the white is better than the black. Our Mishnah is talking about regular cases where the black is better than the white. And that's why he comes and he says, when the person came and he was Magdish, the Shor Shachor is even better than the Shor Lavan. Meaning it depends where you are, which country you are. Is the black going to be better than the white, or the white going to become better than the black? Okay, V'amar Chasa, and says Chasa, Uchma lemashke, the Shor Shachor to its skin, which means that it's very, very meshubach. Sumka lebisre, and Shor Adom is for its basar. Meaning when you want meat, what's the best meat? Red. You know that sometimes they come and they paint the meat red in order to make it look better. But really, Bemet, it's fake, because Bemet, it's not red, but they come and they start painting it. They come and they start making it look like red to show how good it is. So he says, Sumka lebisre, Chivra liridia. A Shor Lavan is better for Charisha. Meaning here you see that whenever we're talking about for the skins, the black ones are the best. When we're talking about the meat, the reddish ones are the best. And when we're talking about plowing, the white ones are the best. So says the Gemara, Uchma bechavia bechivara lakya. Since I thought that you said when you're going to have Shor Shachor, right, between the white ones, it's considered bad. So answers the Gemara again, we're talking about again in this place that obviously that the Shor Shachor is worse than Lavan in this place of Karmunai. Right, that's when it's Be'emet, it's the worst. But really Be'emet, usually the black is going to be better. Let's just do the Mishnah, and then we'll finish by the Mishnah for today. Mishenadar benazir. A person comes and he makes a neder in Nezirut. V'nishal achacham. And he asks the chacham, right, v'asaro. And what happens is that he's prohibiting it. Yeah, what does that mean? The chacham comes and he's posek, that is Kabbalat Nezirut. So the guy comes, right? He makes a Nezirut. He comes and he drinks wine, right? And then he asks the Chacham, by the way, did I become a Nazir? Chacham says, yeah, you became a Nazir. Moneh misha shenadar. He's going to count the Nazirut from the time that he made the neder, which means even the days that he already drank wine, right? It's going to be olelo for Nazirut. Nishal lechacham vetiro. Now, if he asked the rabbi to come and to do Atarat Nedarim, that he said that there was no Lashon Nazirut, so Aitalo Be'ema Mifreshet, if he had already an animal that was segregated, that again, you take it out and you have to let it graze. Amru Bet Hillel Bet Shammai says Bet Hillel to Bet Shammai, you guys don't agree that in this case it is considered Hekdesh V'Taut. Shetetzeh v'tireh ba'eder. Then now you're going to tell me that it's going to go out and it's going to start grazing? What's going on here? Amru lahem Bet Shammai, says Bet Shammai, Yatem modim b'mi sheta'ah v'karat Shii Asiri v'la'asiri Shii or Achadeseh Asiri Shiu Mukodash. Remember how do you do the masrot for animals? How do you do the masrot for animals? You start counting. 1 animal, 2 animals, 3 animals, 4 animals, 5, 6. When it gets to 10, what do? A big red X. Yeah? Fine. Very good. What if you made a mistake? And you put the X on the 9th instead of the 10th. Or the 11th instead of the 10th. That's what he says here. You call the 9th one the 10th one, and the 10th one the 9th one. Right? And then, by the Achadasar, you call those the 10th one, whichever the cases are. Shum Mikudash, you're not going to tell me that it's going to be Hekdesh even though you made a ta'ut, you made a mistake. Amrula and Bet Hillel, it says Bet Hillel, no, it's not true. It's not a raya. Why? The shevet kiddusho, meaning the stick makes things holy. And this is a musar for today. Right? You want to make somebody holy, you have to give him the stick. Yeah? The stick makes him holy. Yeah? That's a musar of today. Right? Everyone remember that. So he says, Hashevet kiddusho. Here the stick is what made the what's it called? The animal into holy. Uma'ilu ta'ah ve'niach et hashevet al shmini ve'al shnei masar shema asakru. Right? Are you going to come now tell me that 1 second? What happens if I made a mistake? Because until now we made a mistake from 9 to 10 or the 10 to 11. What about if I made a mistake from 8 to 10 or from the 12 to 10? So it wasn't a small mistake of 1. It was mamash. It was a big mistake over here. Shema sakrum. Are you going to tell me now, right, that it has kiddusha? Right, for sure it doesn't have kiddusha, even though you called it 10. Ella katuv shekidesh asiri ukidesh kamet. The same pasuk that the pasuk is telling you, the gzerat katuv, that the 10th one is going to become holy. Also, the 9th one is also going to become holy, and also the 11th one. So therefore, he's coming to say that just like the asiri is kadosh because of gzerat katuv, right? So to the Chi and the Achadasar also is going to become kadosh because of gzerat katuv, and not because it's a kadesh b'taut. And the raya is going to be that if you did number 8 or number 12, you didn't do anything. So you see, it's not because of the mistake; it's rather because it's gzerat katuv. So the gzerat katuv says it's going to be the 10th, but technically, if you made a mistake and you did the 9th or 11th, it's also going to be holy, and we continue tomorrow.